My name is Jeromy Desjarlais. I'm from Muskowgan First Nation, um, Treaty 4 territory here in Saskatchewan. I own No Budget Films, and it's a video production company I created to tell indigenous stories.
And where did no budget films come from?
Um, when I first got into film, I must have been about 20 some years old, 22, something like that. And then we used to make skits with my friends. So I'll use this little high 8 camera, those 8 millimeters. And
Mm,
then I would basically just edit something as we shot it and make it look like a little film or whatever. And it was just something we did for fun. And I used to work for a different video production company back then. So it's just, I was getting into it. And then, one of my friends said, low budget films or something. And then I said, actually, we have no budget. So I call it no budget films. And then we used to call it. We used to call it, let's do a no budget films video. And we just get
yeah,
together and we just make little skits. And it was funny. It's just, something to
yeah.
pass time. And it was just something cool to do. And then later, when I wanted to get back into film, I was like thinking of a name and what am I gonna call it, right? What am I gonna call it? And then I thought back to, hey, what if I just revitalize no budget films and bring
Mm,
that back, because that's where it all started.
right.
So I was like, yeah, let's just call it no budget films. A lot of people say you should change your name because it makes it seem like you can't create, like it's like, look at the video, look at the production quality in most of our stuff. So that
Right.
that tells a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like even the name of it, like for me, like just like I think of like it's like relatable
Hmm.
and it's like inspiring too, to start from like
Hmm.
nothing
Yeah, that's
and then to
basically what it
grow or
is. Yeah.
something
Yeah.
and like, win
Hmm.
awards and
Hmm.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's like we got like 21 awards now. We've
Crazy.
been to this is our 31st or 30th film festival. So in the
Dang.
past, I guess we started doing about 4 years ago we started. So,
That's like do you have one out of all of those that kind of means the most to you?
mm, uh, the one I did was called A Safe Place to Call Home. And that one took the most out of me, if
Mm,
anything. But as far as like meaning, I don't like that one stands out because of all what I went through to make that happen. So it was pretty tough. We did it when we were like so broke. We had no money. I was creating just like I already did one, and it was like the year before, I guess. But then this one I was planning to make it 30 minutes. So it was like to go from making stuff that's 10 minutes, then all of a sudden now we're going to 30, 40 minutes. So it was kind of scary but it was basically, I did it with no budget. So
right.
it was like, there was a little bit of money we got, but as far as like, we couldn't hire anybody. We
Mhm.
couldn't hire nobody. So basically everything we did came from, me or my wife doing the work. So it was emotionally, it was pretty tough. It was really hard to do, especially because of a lot of the people we interviewed are my relatives. Some of them, I'm very close to them and, to hear their stories and, over and over and over while I'm editing it. So it's like, there's a
Mm,
lot of it I never put in there. So I only put little pieces of what they were saying. So, but I would listen to their whole interview for hours and hours and hours. It built up like you got to be careful what you edit
right.
because it plays on your mental health, and
Mhm.
it was pretty tough to come back from. I basically had to do a little bit of healing after that. I
Yeah.
did that one. So, but like if I wasn't a filmmaker before then, I was definitely one after that.
Right.
especially to do with editing and other things. Like I learned so much from that one. So if anyone were to stand out, it would definitely be a safe place to call home. My only thing was that I used AI because I didn't have the money to pay like artists to
Mm,
do artwork and other things for me. And then I also used it for the reason that I didn't want to, like, for instance, I didn't want to put somebody on there and show them at their worst because maybe, their kid will always remember them that way, or their
right,
cousin
right.
or whoever will always say, "Oh, I hated that, seeing my son like that," or my daughter, and that the way you like, I didn't want to exploit them, I guess. So
Mhm.
I used like uh just AI images to show that, that people are in this state, as instead of showing like the actual people.
Right.
Yeah, so that was kind of one thing, the why I used the AI. And a lot of people, "Oh, why'd you use AI?" And just totally, like, didn't like it because of that reason. But if
Mhm.
they sat through the other parts and listened to what, like, the message I was trying to, I think they would have liked it. So,
Right.
yeah.
I know, a friend of mine, he speaks a lot on addictions and how he grew up. And he talks about that too when he goes back home or places where his family is. He kind of changes how he talks about it because, like, it's like they know those people. It's like he's talking about somebody's uncle, right?
Mhm,
Somebody's father, somebody's mother, somebody's sister.
mhm.
And he doesn't want these kids to look at them some kind of way, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
So he has to find a different way to share his story and what he went through and how he came through it. So because he doesn't want to put that image,
Yeah.
especially on young kids who will look up to that person, right?
Mhm,
Do you feel like when you were because that one was your family, right?
mhm.
That you really got to know your family? You really got
Well,
like
I already knew them. I already
okay.
knew them. And, I know about, like, addiction. It's like I've lived around it, and I've I used to drink a lot. I'm
Mm,
sober 16 years now,
dang,
so it's like addiction and that has been around me. And if you're indigenous and you're in Saskatchewan, I'm sure you've dealt with it. So it's like
right.
it's something we have all kind of dealt with, most of us anyway. So it's like, oh yeah, just give me a second. I'm sorry, what was that question again?
I mean, I guess kind of like when you think about your family and interviewing them,
Mhm.
like I guess not so much like did you know them, but did you get to know them like on a deeper level? Because like I feel like when we think about
Um,
trauma now,
I guess to see a part of them that I didn't like. Not really.
okay,
I kinda knew them at that level
right,
already.
right, right,
So it's like I knew them all closely. All the ones that participated were, I'm close to them. So they're
okay,
like, it's like we're so it was, yeah, it was difficult though. It was difficult to listen to that over and over. But the good part, is those were the ones that were healing themselves. Those were the ones that were coming out of it. So in a way it was good, but they also talk about their trauma and stuff. And it was like that was the part that kind of, it was hard for me to do. It was hard for me to be the editor on that because I was so close to that, right? I was
right.
close to that. Still am. So it's like, yeah.
Oh, so do you remember the moment when you decided to go from like making little fun clips and little fun videos to being like, hey, I should probably share some stories.
Well, when I wanted to create, the idea for no budget films was always, well, like, to bring it back and call it no budget films was always to like, I thought like, this is when I was a mover, when I used to do moving and stuff. Like, it was like, I'd have to go do an estimate, right? Like, say a tree or whatever, there was a tree. I'd go there, I'd do the estimate. One day I brought my wife with me. So she came with me to do the estimate. And then I had about 4 or 5 estimates that day and went there and I got them all. I got every one. I was like,
Mm,
"Wow," usually I'll get 1 out of 5,
right.
Like, I got them all. I was like, "Awesome. What was different?" And I was like, "Oh, I brought you. You came with me." And it's like, "What?"
Mm,
And it was like, "How but what was it?" And my wife said, "It's probably because they seen you as a family man. They seen you as a as a father. They seen you as a husband instead of, just seeing you as an indigenous guy coming to their door, right? So it's like, they seen you as a person as opposed
right.
to just an
A
idea.
business or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So they seen so I was like, "Oh, yeah." So I always brought her to my, my things after that. So it's like, yeah.
Well, how would you, if you took away filmmaking, if you took away editing video, who are you without all that stuff?
Who am I? Oh, oh, that's a good question. Um, I just a regular guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Just a regular guy who likes to do things that are out of the ordinary. I
Mm,
guess you could say. I like to rather like if when I do something, it's like people are like, "Well, you can't do that."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, how are you gonna do that? Like, how are you gonna first of all, how are you gonna be a filmmaker? It's like
Mm,
you don't have no camera, you don't know about cameras, you don't have no friends in film, you don't have nothing. It's like, well, I have the idea that, you know, I I could learn. I can pick up a camera and I can learn about it. And then from there I can, it's like, but we'll go from there. That's kind of how
yeah,
I am. It's like I'll figure it out. I'm not afraid to learn something. So it's like that's kind of how no budget film started. I was like,
right.
people were like, how the how are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't know. And then I said, well, to become a filmmaker, I need to make a film. So I went to Edmonton and I made a film for a cousin of mine. And then his friends, they had this thing called the Sober Homies of Edmonton. So I went out there and I did interviews with them, followed them around a bit, and I turned it into a documentary. And then I brought it back. I edited it. I got it out there, and then it's like I watched it and I was like, geez, I could really do this. I
Right.
really think I could do this. It's like my ideas that what I wanted to do. It's just like I know I could do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like when I became a piano mover, like I know I could do this. I just
Mm,
have to know how, right? And then when we're cutting down trees, I learned that out of nowhere. It was like, okay, well, I got to how do I safety with a chainsaw, that's the first thing, things that just slowly build up. And it just like, that's how filmmaking was for me. I learned lighting. I learned how to pick up a good sound. I learned how to, just kept learning and kept
just
learning and
trial and
kept
error
learning.
kind
And
of thing.
yes, exactly. And then,
And no schooling?
no, no, no schooling.
Crazy. That's
Basically
cool.
yeah, I got like a GED.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got like a GED. I did, however, take training last year
Okay.
I went to a course, the CBC New Indigenous Voices it's called,
Mm,
and I was out of Winnipeg. They got 10 filmmakers to come in, all Indigenous filmmakers, and they kinda show them they take us, to different places and show us, "Oh, this is how this part of this is how this works," this is what the director does, this is what just kinda show everybody their places. You just show us a little bit about the camera and stuff. I was like, that's where I was whenever the guy was talking about everything about the cameras, and I was like, oh, this and that. Yeah, I just,
yeah.
I kind of because I was training myself already to learn about, all this.
Right.
So it was like it was good.
Was there like something from that that really like clicked with you?
Um from that course, really what really helped me was it it reinforced the idea that I was going in the right direction. It it showed me that like I was unsure about a huge set. Okay. I was never on a big set. So I didn't know how they worked. I didn't know who said what. I didn't know, who said, like I knew the directors said action,
Right.
I knew that much, right? But I didn't know what were the names behind these jobs, what were the, so to be able to learn all that stuff and understand how a set works and how it all comes together, that was huge in learning about, like, so that really gave me a step up, because right after that I went and we went to New York, and we went to shoot a film with some friends out there. It was, just to be part of a larger set like that, but
Right.
understand it before I went. Like, if I had went to that set before, I would have been like a chicken with his head cut off. I
Right.
wouldn't have known nothing. But after that course, I understood my place where I was, so what I had to do. So I was the DOP. So I had the camera, I got to say this and how the angles were looking, stuff like that. But then halfway through, we lost our lighting guys. So it was like, okay, well, so I started lighting the scenes, and then the director liked the way I lit the scenes. So I lit a lot of those scenes. So it was a really, really good experience. I had so much fun, especially in New York. It's like, wow, it's like you get really inspired by all the lights and
Right.
all the everybody you meet's an artist out there, so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
How
so
were you always like a creator growing up?
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I've always did things like that, like, just create things, like, I remember me and my brothers used to do, like, we would take recordings from, like, say, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we pretend like you're talking to him, so we'd
Mm,
record his voice, and then we'd say something and it's things like that.
cool.
Stuff like that. But with cameras, I was never really a camera guy. That's just something that I just learned, I guess.
Right.
I was never really, I guess I was always interested in photography, but now I finally get to, yeah, but it was like, I never knew how I would get there. It's
Right.
like I always thought I needed to go to school for something like that. But it's like, as I got older, I realized, like, you just gotta, if you want to learn something, you just gotta get off your ass and go do it.
Mhm.
You gotta pick up a book or
Right.
search through the internet or something. You gotta learn about it. You can't just like, if you're planning something, you can't just have it in your mind and say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna," you gotta work hard for it. So just like anything.
Yeah, where do you think that comes from? Because I feel like most people have a lot of fear,
Hmm.
right? They don't wanna fail, they don't wanna get started. And even, like, when you were just talking at the beginning of this podcast, you were saying how many people have said to you, "How are you gonna do that?
Hmm.
How are you gonna create that?" And it's like, how why do you think yours different? And you're like, "Well, I'm gonna learn and I'm gonna do it," when most people, if they didn't have a schooling or a
I was
mentor of some sort, they would not even try.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've just always been like that, I guess. I've always done stuff out of the ordinary. I've always just said I'm gonna do something and then just did it. I don't like to say something and not do it.
Right.
I don't like, I feel like I'm leaving something behind, or I'm leaving something out, or if I say I'm gonna do something, I usually go do it. Yeah. So I don't know. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure where I get that
It was
from.
just in
It's
there, eh?
just, yeah, it's
That's
just a
cool,
part
man.
of
It's a
me,
good
but
quality.
it's, my dad showed us hard work growing up, so it was like, you had to work hard, you had to work hard if you want something in life. You just gotta work for it, so it's like, yeah, maybe that has something to do with it, the work ethic, so it was like, told me always outwork the next guy. So if you
Right.
outwork the next guy, the boss will always look at you like as someone he needs there. He's not gonna want somebody who, is sitting around doing nothing.
Mm,
So every job that I did, I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to be the guy that did the most, So, like, whenever I did moving, while other guys were walking up the stairs, I was running up the stairs.
mm. Uh,
Yeah, it's like, slow down.
mm.
It's like, no. That's how
Speed
I
up.
work. Yeah, that's how I work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, yeah, just whatever I did, I always wanted to it's not about being the best, but it's just about proving your worth, I
Right,
guess.
right,
So I
right.
always wanted to prove my worth that I'm worthy.
Yeah.
So it was like I was always left out of different circles growing up. I wasn't allowed to like hang with these guys because of, I'm me being indigenous or whatever
Right.
or whatever, right? So it was like I always wanted to prove that I could be part of that group or
Right.
yeah, because
I
like I
think
grew
that's what like
yeah.
like because when I think about like self-love and like confidence, not in like a egotistical way, but like
Mhm,
confidence like you have to go out and create and be is like proof, right? Because
mhm,
like you prove to yourself you can do something
mhm,
enough times, right? Then you have that
mhm,
self-belief and that
mhm.
kind of goes with
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah,
You
it's like I know like I know I can make a documentary about whatever I want. I know
right.
I could go and shoot a film if I want, I know I could do all this. It's just I don't have the people with me, that's the only problem.
Mm,
I need more people that are willing to work hard. I need more people around me, like my wife, she's always here helping me, just it's just like everything I do, she helps me, so it's like you need that support, but it's like
definitely.
also like I don't have that from everybody else, like
Mm,
there's other filmmakers, there's lots of filmmakers in Saskatchewan. There's lots of like videographers and stuff like that. I'm constantly inviting people to come and work with me because when I started, I had no like I had no help. Nobody was there for me. Nobody was there to say, "Hey, well, hey, this is how you set a light. Well, hey, this is how you do this," and I'm offering to do that, but nobody's taking, so it's just kinda well, it's like, I don't know what that's about. It's just maybe people just wanna get there themselves, or I don't know, just I just wanna work with people, so, like,
yeah.
I know I could learn off them and they could learn off me, and it's like, if you work with somebody in the same thing and you both get better and you help each other,
Mhm.
and that's how it should be. But it's just not like that here. It's like it's more of a competition. Everybody wants to be, oh, I'm the best. I'm the, it's like,
Right.
and I'm over here like, well, let's just work together. Let's do this,
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of how I see it.
It's a it's a good way to be, and because I think, like, with our economy, like, like, capitalism
Hmm.
comes that, like, dog eat dog mentality, and everyone for some reason thinks it can only be one if somebody's winning, that means I'm losing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like it's an odd mentality because everyone can win.
Hmm.
There's enough for everyone to
Yeah,
win,
exactly. That's it.
but it's hard to find people who think like that,
Hmm.
because there is people who are waiting to take, right?
Hmm.
And then those givers get taken advantage of too. But I think it's worth it because
Hmm.
if you can build a circle of givers,
Hmm.
you can freaking go far.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want. I wanna build a whole crew of people that where we can go shoot something,
Yeah.
and say, "Okay, well, here, this writer wrote this, let's go shoot it," and when next week, right away, let's go do it,
Mm.
like have a crew just ready to go. That's what I would like to assemble.
Have you met many other indigenous directors, filmmakers, writers, anything like
In
that?
Saskatchewan, a little bit, but mostly like out of Saskatchewan. So,
Mm.
like out of Saskatchewan, I met It's lots is happening in Winnipeg, like, for film, it's huge, there's lots. I know ton of people in
Right.
indigenous filmmakers that are, up there doing their thing, and it's like they're, like, busy, so it's like, I if it wasn't Winnipeg, I'd move there.
Right.
You know what I mean,
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
yeah, it's kind of a rough city. Mhm.
'Kay, so Desjarlais,
Yeah.
I went to school in Wadena for a little bit,
Mhm.
by Fishing Lake. There's a
Okay,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
Desjarlais
mhm,
there.
yeah.
Is that the same family or
Some, yeah, yeah, I
okay,
don't think I'm related to some people out there, but I think it's kind of, with the Desjarlais name, it's kind of on every reserve.
okay,
It's
okay.
kind of like it's a very, very
Yeah. Like
well-known name. Yeah,
Tatusis, like,
some
yeah, bear, they're
it's
everywhere.
from, we have our own coat of arms.
Oh, really?
It's actually the name it's from Europe. It's from, the the Jarlis clan. The Jarlis clan a guy named Des from the Jarlis clan came
Mm,
to Canada, and then so that was his name, Des Jarlis. And then that's how Desjarlais was made. And then he was like a barrel maker or something. And then that happened on the coast, and then the name just
cool.
so it's like, yeah, all across Canada.
That's pretty
Desjarlais.
cool.
Yeah, it's a big name. But yeah,
Yeah,
we have like our own coat of arms and everything. So
work it.
mhm.
When you think of storytelling, shooting a video or a documentary, a film compared to a music video, like when you go
Mhm,
from like 10, 30, an hour to tell this story, and now you have
mhm,
to tell a story in like 2, 3 minutes.
mhm.
How is that different? Is it?
Well, tell you the truth, most of the videos I did are more run and gun. They weren't planned.
I see, I see.
And that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to get artists that want to tell a visual story, but then see that takes a team.
Right.
That's like, I could do it. I'm sure me and Michelle could do it. I'm not saying we can't, but I would rather have two camera guys on it. I
Mm,
would rather have, like a whole set. I would rather have real actors.
right, right, right.
So I would like to like like a big production, like make it more of a big production, but still, our style. So like we still do it, but just make it more of a, because like, yeah, a lot of the stuff I shot was just, it's like, hey, can you shoot this? Yeah, I could shoot that.
Okay.
All right, send me the song. Okay, well, what ideas do we have? It's like, it's more or less just
Like find a spot to
yeah,
shoot
yeah,
at instead of
yeah.
tell a
It's
story.
basically what's behind you tells the story. So it's not really, I didn't really get that chance.
Right.
One we did, the one I did for Caden, we did, and then we really tried, but a lot of the story we didn't get to tell. So it was like, because that's how it is when you do a production. If you're not planned it out properly,
Mm,
then you're going to run into problems like that. So it's like,
right.
we didn't have a shot list. We didn't have none of that. We just kind of just we said this is what we want to do, and we tried our best to do it. So that was when I first started. So I was still pretty green. I didn't really know how to do this, that, but I did know certain things. So like I did like things that other people weren't doing at the time.
Right.
Like the idea was for me with music and all that, it was always to pick up what was happening, because what I seen was really, really good artists, but there was like no filmmakers in there. It was like really good artists, and they'll come out and you can hear their music, and it's just like, man, if these guys had some good videos behind them,
Mhm.
they'd probably get a bit farther than they are. It's just the idea of like, maybe I can help them, and that's how it always was. And then
Right.
like a lot of people call me, hey man, I want a video. How much does this cost? And it's this is I'm not about that. I'm here to create some. I don't care about how much money I'm gonna make off it. It's about, what are we going to create? Like, what's the song about? First, send me the song. And if
Mm,
I don't like the song, I'm probably not going to
right.
do it. Some people like, well, hey, you're a videographer. Whatever. I'm going to tell people that your business isn't, well, it's not a business. I'm doing this to uplift you guys. Like, I'm doing this to lift you guys up. But they don't get it. They think like, well, it's like, you're a videographer, so these are the rules, right? But then
Mhm.
I think outside the box, and that's probably why, like, I've gotten paid for a lot of my videos. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like, people, like, one time I was in Las Vegas, and I was with one of my friends, Jordan, and then we came into the elevator, and then there was some guy just jumped in with his wife, and they started talking, and they were talking about music and everything. And I wasn't really listening to them, tell you the truth. I was just like, oh, it's tired. You walk around in Vegas, it's a lot of walking. So it's like, and then there's like, oh, my bro does videos. He's like, you do videos? I was like, yeah, I do music videos. And I just popped up a video, showed him. one I shot, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, well, I'll pay you to do a video, and what do you charge?" So he just, just all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's from there was let's shoot a video. So I was like, okay, how can I send me the music? Let's
Right,
do this. It was like I was on vacation, but that is my vacation,
right. Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
shooting something that's fun for me, and
Mhm,
buddy's ready to pay for it and he's gonna pay. It's like, okay, let's, that makes it even more fun. So now I'm gonna try even harder now. So,
mhm.
I give him more of my time. I give him than I usually give. When I edited, I put a lot more care into it. I tried my best to tell a story, it didn't really, but it turned out very well. Let's
Right.
just say that. It turned out well. That that video won, like, 3 awards now, so it's
Wow,
like, it's doing pretty good. Oh, I guess 4 because he won 1 for best artist, so he won his own award out of that. Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Shout out to LAF
Cool.
0822. Mhm.
Do you
Yeesh.
feel I guess think is speaking of I guess awards, do you remember when you the first award you won?
Yes.
And do you remember how it made you feel or were you surprised?
I was surprised I won.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the time, well, I knew what I was doing. Like, I knew what I was doing was like, I knew I was doing good videos. I knew I was doing a good documentaries because it was getting into film festivals. So if it was getting
Mhm.
in, obviously, I'm being recognized. So just by getting in, I felt like I won. So,
Mm,
just by being a part of the
right.
festival, I already won, and that's kind of how I see it every time I get in a festival. It's like, oh, I'm in another festival. Well, hey, I just was recognized. Awesome. Wicked. So it's like, but yeah, it's like, but then to win it, it was like, wow. I wasn't ready for that. The first one, I was like,
Yeah,
what? No, what
yeah.
are you? And I am the worst. Like, I'm the worst at speeches. So I go up
Okay.
there, I'm like, thank you. Just
Yeah.
awkward, just totally awkward. Oh, it's not my favorite time. I love winning awards,
Okay.
but it's not my favorite time going up there to try
Still?
and, yeah, I suck at it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good at getting the awards, but
Yeah.
I suck at the speeches. I just like, you, you notice you don't see any of my speeches on any of my social media. That's because they suck. I don't know how to do it. My hands get clammy, and I just
Yeah.
like I can't speak. I just can't. It's like I could talk to you. I know there's a camera there. I know there's people watching me. That's fine. But when you're in front of a big crowd and everybody's there, and it's like, oh,
It's all eyes
yeah,
on you.
it's just I lose my composure. I can't do it. Yeah. But it feels good. It's definitely after, I'm always like very grateful for every award that we've gotten. I'm very grateful for every, I guess, film festival that took us on, every film festival that, like, I'm going to one tonight.
Mm.
After this, we're going to the first day. There's this 3-day festival, the Achimowin Film Festival. I hope I said it right. It's my first time at this one. It's an indigenous one here in here in Saskatoon. Yeah.
Is it Canada wide or is it Saskatchewan? Or is it Western
It's
Canada?
I'm unsure.
Okay.
I believe it's like, I see films on there from all over. It looks like,
Okay,
I
cool.
believe they get films from everywhere. I think, like, an indigenous film festival usually doesn't mean just like, like, I guess, Native American.
Okay.
It could mean, indigenous from other countries as well, and that's what
Okay,
I
cool.
notice. Like, I go to a lot of indigenous film festivals too, so I see that. So it's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this is an indigenous film," but then they're from, like, across the world somewhere, but then those are indigenous people to that land, right? So
right.
it's like, everybody's indigenous to somewhere,
Yep,
so
yep,
if you go to where you're from and make a film, that's an indigenous film, basically. Yeah,
right.
so it's like, or you could make it here, but as long as you're I guess, indigenous.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I've seen because 'cause I've
Yeah.
seen people from, like, all over the world in some festivals, so it's
That's cool to
Mhm.
experience that.
Yeah, I've been to this one festival in Toronto, and it's, like, so multicultural. It's go people coming from all over the place, like, that was one of the biggest festivals I went to. That was, let's see here, just trying to think. Oh, give me a second here. But yeah, yeah, I I love the awards. I love getting them. Feels good.
Are you able to talk to a lot of the other filmmakers from other countries?
Yeah, that's kinda what I go for.
Okay.
I go to meet new people. I
Mm,
go to meet other filmmakers in hopes that we could build something together in the future.
right.
So I go there to meet people. I go there to, like, just be a social butterfly.
Right, right, right. Are you do do you notice that a lot of the indigenous people in other countries are kind of going through the same thing as the indigenous people here? Like finding,
Um,
or is it a little bit different everywhere?
it's a little bit different because everybody has their own struggles, but, like, very similar. Yes,
Yeah.
I guess you could say, yeah, similar. I've met people what I met a guy in Argentina or from Argentina. He came to, which film festival was that? I think it was in Vegas, Widescreen, yeah, Widescreen Film Festival in Vegas. No, no, that was the one in Toronto. Yeah, the Widescreen in Toronto, and then I met him there, and, he was indigenous to there, and then he said that he spoke the colonizers' language, but he practiced all his own teachings. So
Mm,
it's just like me if I were to speak English and then I still practice my teaching. So it's the same way. So I was like, yeah, we're pretty much the same thing because you speak Spanish, I speak English. We both speak the colonizers, but we both practice our own ways, right? Like our indigenous ways. And then he'd given me some tobacco and then he had a medallion that had the four directions.
mm,
So all the way from Argentina, he shares the same teachings as we do here. So it's like you could tell how like colonization totally destroyed us as people because we were all once one people. Now we've got like, oh, these ones are Mexicans, these ones are
right,
called, like they say, oh, you're what, just like it's just all they split us up. So we're all different, It's like meanwhile we're all the same people. You know?
mm,
So it's like I couldn't believe that. Like it's just like, wow, that was such a shock for me. Somebody from Argentina has the same teachings as someone from like the plains from all the way from north all the way. And that's not even Turtle Island. That's like South America.
right,
So
right.
that's like, wow. It's like, yeah,
It's eye
that was a
opening, eh?
shock to me.
Yeah.
That was a huge shock to me to see that. Wow, it's like crazy. Yeah, it opens your eyes though, it does. Meeting new people and their ways and stuff. So it's like, yeah. But to see him have the same as us, that was
Mm,
trippy. Yeah, it was, but it was good though. I thought that was like it almost like it was I don't know, just like, I knew that's how it was, but you can't say that, you can't s
right.
but if you see it, now it is, it's
Yeah,
just I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. Do you feel like when you make your films, uh, that you bring something to them that kind of gets left out in maybe mainstream films when it comes to indigenous culture and things like that, and even
Mhm,
the past and the
mhm.
traumas and like what indigenous people are going through still?
Well, that's the idea of it. Like, when I was trying to tell you before that, the idea to make films came from watching other people's films
Right.
that aren't indigenous and them telling our story, but they get it all wrong. And it's like,
Mm,
oh man, like we're not like that. We don't do that. It's like, come on. Hey, our people are more like this, and it's like it just and watching movies growing up, how they depict a native a certain way, it's like just so they could say whatever, and then I know it just gives a false view of who we are.
right.
And then so the idea of becoming a filmmaker always stemmed from how could I change the way people think of us? Because like I said, I would go to these like I do these estimates, but these people didn't see me, they didn't see me as a human. They seen me as an idea. They seen me as a native man. But when I brought my wife, they saw me as that. They saw me as this. And they always tell me, hey, you did such a good job. You guys do such a good job. Like, man, like you being a native guy, that's inspiring, and they try to keep that quiet. It's like, you being indigenous? Wow, I
Mm,
can't believe you did it. And it's like, well, why not?
right.
Why not? What's different from me and you, right? So it's like, but then a lot of people, I change their minds. They'll say, you changed my mind the way I think about indigenous people. So it's like, oh, I love that. That makes me feel so good. How could I do that at a larger scale? And I thought, well, if I got no budget films running again and I made a documentary and I showed the way we live and I show the way we are. I show how we grew up. I show what we've went through and I show how Canada looks at us. I show how regular Canadians look at us. It's like it happens like racism is everywhere and it's like I got this little store back home and it's right out of my house. It's just like a little convenience shop. It's got munchies and things like that, pop and chips. So I go out and I go buy a lot of that. So, I'm at a store and I got a whole thing full of pop. And they always look at me the same way. They're like, are you having a party? Ooh, I want to come to your party. And it's like, leave me alone. Give me a break. It's just like, oh my God, this is just like, and I feel I have to tell them, like, like I'd ask them this, I'd tell them this. If I was white or if I had been East Indian or even Chinese, would you have asked the same question?
Mm,
Oh, don't go there. Don't even go there, but really though, just because you see me with all of this, you think I'm going to consume it all? Like, this is my business. This is how I make
right.
money. It's like, so it's just like, it's always been like that. I grew up in Northwest Regina. So I grew up around like, there was no indigenous people in that area at the time. I was the only native kid going to the school. So it was like, it was tough growing up like that. It was like, I was never accepted. I was never accepted. I was told, "Hey, you can't come here. Hey, you're not allowed here. You're not allowed in this house. You can't come here. Hey, I told you not to bring your friend here. I told you not to bring him. I told you not to be friends with him." Things like that. So it was like I was always growing up and shown that like, this is how it is. And so I wanted to show how we lived and who we are as people so they can understand us and not have to think that we're these evil people or that we're these bad people. It's like we're just like you. We're just, maybe a little bit more giving, but
Yeah, yeah.
a little bit more generous.
A
Yes,
little bit
we
of a
are.
better
Yeah.
sense of humor too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Nietzsche's got that for sure. No doubt. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it's like, that's really why I got into film was because I
Mm,
want to tell those stories. Um, and not only me tell those stories, I want to show that anybody could tell those stories. You don't have to be from some big school. You don't have to, have all these, like all this. You don't got to go to school for 20 years just to tell a story. You could just tell a story. And that's just it. I would like to inspire other, not just inspire other filmmakers in general. But I also like to pick up indigenous filmmakers, get them inspired as well, to see more of us that, we, it's like a lot of these big films that they're shooting, they're indigenous stories. But if you go behind the scenes there's really no indigenous people behind the scenes. And that's sad. That is
Mm,
so sad. Like to see that even today, it's like, all these big stories being told and we're not even part of that process, you know?
right,
But then the most compelling stories are the ones that we tell.
right.
So the ones that have indigenous writers, the ones that have indigenous producers, those are the ones that really get seen because other people see it for the truth it really is. That's, this is how indigenous people are. Like look at reservation dogs. Like they really show the indigenous side, they really show who we really are, as a
Mhm.
people. And I love that show. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's what we gotta get more of, We need more stories like that. So that's what this is about. Yeah, it's about telling those stories.
Yeah, I think there's nothing you can do to replace like the mind of somebody who has gone through it, who has lived it, you know? Hearing somebody tell it and then you going is
Mhm,
not the same,
mhm. Yeah.
because even because I come like when I think about boxing, when I think about like a coach, because I always think the mental is the most important part. So if I have this coach who has never fought in the ring, there's just like an aspect that they can never teach me,
Mhm,
right? They've never done it. They've never been through it. They've never been scared like that. They've
mhm.
never felt the fear. They've never
Exactly.
felt the intensity. So
Mhm,
there's always going to be a little bit missing.
mhm,
Even if what they're telling me is right, the mental part of it is going to be missing. And they're
mhm,
not going to be able to be like, do it because of this, because you're
mhm,
feeling, and it's like, there's just that little bit that, like, I feel like when you're looking for somebody to
mhm.
share something with you,
Absolutely.
that you need that part of
It's
it too.
missing like you said, it's missing our humor.
Right.
It's missing our humor. It's missing our just our like a film could have a soul,
Right.
and that comes from what they put into it, what the creators put into it, right? So it's just like every film's different because of that. So
Mm.
it's like, yes, definitely we need more indigenous filmmakers. You hear that, guys? We need
Mhm.
more of you. So
So
if
what
you're watching this, pick up that camera.
when you
Mm,
stopped for a little bit there, what made you stop and then what made you start again? What made you pick it back up, and was there a reason?
I had a big family, so I had to do what I had to do.
Right.
I had to create companies. I had to make this money. I had to make sure my kids lived good. And, make sure, like at the same time, I was breaking cycles, so it was pretty tough breaking cycles. Um, like I couldn't get a regular job. I really
Mhm.
couldn't, and it was like I would. It's crazy. It's like I'd go to all these places and I'd kill the interviews and then I never get hired. And they're like, what the hell's wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. And it
Mm.
was never me. It was always just society wasn't accepting of indigenous people. So, it's just like every time I got that job, I showed how hard I worked. And then I realized that these bosses are taking advantage of that. They're taking advantage of us trying to prove ourselves. So don't prove yourself to the wrong people because it never turns out good. I work for these guys and I see how they basically paying me the lowest wages when I'm the hardest working guy there. Like I said, I always try to be the hardest working guy. If not, I'm putting in the most hours. I'm there the earliest. I leave the latest. I may not be the strongest, but I move the fastest. I move the most. So it's like, and then them to pay me nothing. It's just like I got sick of it. And there was the turning point was where I went and did this move, and then my boss, yeah, you know who you are. He kept my money. Like the people
Mm.
tipped me. And at that time I was making like $8 an hour, and I was like like, my body was mush by the time I got home, you know? So it was like I was putting in so much time and I could barely pay my bills. And then that $100 sounded so good to me, you know? And then when I took it to him and I said, "Hey, man, you know, it's, she wrote it here that that's my $100." And he said, "Well, who's the name on the check?" And I said, "Oh, that's your company name." "Well, it's my money." And I said, "No, man, that's my money. It's not your money. I earned it. She gave me, look, there's a letter here that I don't give a fuck about the letter." He rips it up. And it's like this, you know, you want a job, then you're just gonna have to take or walk. That's what he told me.
Right.
And I said, "You know what? F you. I'm done. I'm not working for you ever again." I said. And I was walking up the stairs and I said, "You know what? I'm going to create my own company and it's going to be called Jeremy's Moving and Delivery. And, you know, I'm going to be fair to people. I'm not going to rip people off the way you do, you know, like." And then I quit his company and I started my own company. I was the first week I was making like $400 a day, $500 a day compared to making $400 a week, you
Right.
know? It's like, wow. It's like, geez, man, you got to believe in yourself. So it's like, yeah, I didn't have money to start that company. I had to start a yard care company and buy this old truck and then work my way up to a moving truck to start my moving company. But I did. And yeah, I bet you a lot of people in Regina missed that company. Oh, I bet you. We moved a lot of people. They were so happy with our services. But yeah, I ended up moving to the res after that. And it was like, I thought my life was over once I lost my companies and I moved. Like we just moved and it was like from whatever, but it's like, "Oh, no, like, who am I now that I don't have Jeremy's moving and delivery? Who am I? What am I gonna do?" Just like I worked so hard to get to this point, and now for no fault of my own, I'm losing it all. Like, that's stupid, all because of, you know, stupid the way racism plays out. That's all I'll say, but, you know, that's how it turned out, and I had to move. So when I moved, it was like, "What am I gonna do now?" And it's just like, I remember I fell asleep that night. I woke up and I didn't have work. You know, usually it's like, "Hey, I gotta get through that. I gotta go get these because I didn't have to do nothing." So I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna sleep in." I
Mm,
laid down. Fuck, I slept in. I woke up again and I was like, "You know what? Maybe this is what I need. Maybe I need a break, you know? Maybe I need a break from that, you know, working so hard, just working my body to the bone, you know?" And it's like, and I thought, "Heck, I should start my I should start, no budget films." And at that time, it was like, "What?" It's like, "You're gonna start no budget films? Like, how? With what money? How are you gonna start it? How are you gonna, you know, like, you're gonna make money? Like, what's going on here?" You know, it's like, I don't know. I just know I could do it. I don't know
mm.
how.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
know, you know, just like how I made my moving company, just how I made my yard care company. I knew I could do it, you know, just like this. I just know I could do it. So I'm just gonna do it. And I just did it. I just went and got what I needed and then I had all this gear. And I remember I'll never forget this day. I went walking into one of my first jobs I ever got hired for. They hired me for pictures, even though I'm a video guy. They hired me for pictures. So I go into this place and it was like a big dinner for my reserve, right? And then so I have all my gear and I'm walking in and I'm just proud of myself. And there was this whole corner of people and they laughed at me. And I was like, "What are they laughing at? I don't get it. You know, I don't understand what they're laughing at." And I still can't understand what they were laughing at. But it gave me motivation to not
Mm,
give up, you know, because at that point, I was, like, already wanting to give up. I was like,
right.
"I don't think I'm cut out for this. I don't think I could do this." Then they're like, "Ha, ha, ha, ha," laughing at me. I'm like, "I'm gonna do the best job here. I'm gonna make sure I get the best pictures." And then so I did, and I did get good pictures. I realized that I'm actually a pretty good photographer there, so I was like, "Oh, okay, I could do this picture thing." I didn't think I could do like photographs and things because I knew I could do film because I already practiced and I've already made my own, things already. And I've had stuff out there, but as far as pictures, I was lost. I didn't even know uh, I didn't even know about it. I was my first pictures I did, I set everything to what do you just like to basically set it to amateur.
Mm,
I didn't understand about focal length. I didn't understand about none of that. So it was like that was really tough. But yeah, I powered through it. And it just all of a sudden it's like I got like, hey, you're in a film festival. It's like, what? I got in a film festival and I'm in the same film festival as this one, I forget who was that woman. She was a what was her name again? Can't think of her name. She's she speaks about issues, indigenous issues and stuff like that. She's what is that lady's name, Michelle? The one there. She was in the first film festival ever. She had a film anyway in there, and I was like, wow, she's a big name. I have a film in there with her. And then I was looking at this. There was like a thing of how many views each one got, and then it was supposed to go by whoever got the most views wins. And then mine blew away every other film, and I thought, "Wicked! Oh, I'm gonna win, man! I'm gonna win!" And then it was like I don't know, like my film didn't win for some reason. I was like, "Well, why didn't I win? I got all the views." And they're like, "Oh no, nobody voted on yours. They watched it, but they didn't vote." And I was like, "What? Well, that
mm.
sucks." Yeah, and it was like my first taste of it's like and then I realized there, well, it's not about the war. It's about that we got in
Right.
and we were up against some, like somebody with a lot of money, so it was good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She made Pam Paul made her. She made a film and there and it was like, oh yeah. I remember that. And then so I was like, yeah, kinda early I got that mentality to just not worry about, if you don't win or not. That's fine, it's good.
Right.
Just getting in is a win. That's a
Yeah.
win. So that's kinda how I seen it. And then after I seen it that way, then all of a sudden I started winning all the time. So it was like, "Oh, that feels good though." It does. It feels good to be recognized. Feels good to be, told that, "Hey, the work you did was really good." I remember this one it was, I did with students and I sent that in. There was over 28 or 28,000 or something films in that festival.
Yeah.
And then we got runner up. We didn't win, but we got a runners up. And I was like, wow, that like 20,000 films. And we like, we stood out. Man,
Mhm.
that's a win. That's what I thought.
That's cool.
At that point, that was my biggest win. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe that. It's like, so so yeah, getting them really kept me on track. It really kept me motivated. When you get an award, it motivates the heck out of you. What am I
Right.
gonna make next? I gotta
Yeah.
make something now. I gotta make something better than that. What can I do to improve? It's like
Do you wanna share what, you got in this festival?
it's called Unmarked. It's about unmarked graves on my reserve. And I got sick and tired of reading online people saying, "Oh, there's no graves. Oh, hear about all those graves. Those are just animals," or just like
Right.
all this bull crap. So I made that film just basically to show them that it's true, to show them that it's happening and it's a reality. Like on my reserve, there's still a residential school standing, and it's still there. Out of all these, they tore down all the other ones. And then you think, well, why did they do that? They're erasing that history. They're
Mm,
erasing the history because it's such a bad history. And then if there was no unmarked graves, why are they erasing that history? Why are they doing that? So it's the film was really never meant for indigenous people. It was meant for like just regular Canadians to watch, to
Right.
see, just like just so they understand that it's a reality that we live, It's
Where, um, besides going to these festivals, where do people go to watch your films? Or where
um
online can they go?
yeah, you can follow No Budget Films on Facebook. I've got, I throw some of my stuff on YouTube.
Okay.
Um I'm like on all the social medias like TikTok, um, Instagram, Biba420, Instagram. So everyone's a little different. Like on my Instagram, I do a lot of my photos, things like that. My Facebook, I show a lot of like the artists or the work that I do with artists. I also have two of my documentaries on there. Some of the documentaries I have, they're just not out there in any way. So like this one, Unmarked, it's not. If you want to go see it, is Saturday at 6 at the Roxy. That's
Okay.
basically 5. Oh, 5, sorry.
Everyone shows up and it's
Yeah,
over?
yeah, it's like, "What's going on? You said 6." No, it's 5. Saturday at 5 at the Roxy. Yeah, so if you wanna check that out, but yeah, it's, a warning,
Mm,
trigger warning. It's got a lot to unpack there. So if somebody doesn't really know about it and they were to watch it, might be a little sad. Might be, especially somebody who's lived it, somebody who's been in those schools, trigger warning, definite. But the idea is to make it like that, is to make it shocking, is to show that that's real. That's real. This is real. This has
mm,
happened. This has happened to us. This is happening. So it's you can't sweep that under the rug. They could say, "Oh, that's a lie," but no, it's not a lie. It's the truth, and it's Canada has a really, really bad past,
right.
really bad past, and the future's not looking good either. The way
Mm,
they treat Indigenous people, the way, look at some like it's just what we need is we need people to understand that Indigenous people are just like everybody else. We're no different, you know? People gotta understand that. They gotta understand that, a lot of us are troubled because of our upbringings, because of all of the trauma that we lived through. So it's like all of our parents went to those schools. All of our grandparents went to those schools. If you're my age, you went to those schools. So I went to those schools. My kids didn't have to. I broke the cycle with them. I quit drinking. So they don't, they never saw their dad grow up, drinking. They never seen me drinking. They don't know what I'm like as an alcoholic. I did them a favor, but I also didn't do them a favor because they never saw the bad side of it. I saw the bad side of alcoholism growing up. And it's like, that was enough to make me not wanna drink, but, when you're growing up around alcohol all your life and everybody does it, when you get a certain age, it's almost like a rite of passage. And what's the scary thing today is that it's not alcohol anymore, now it's drugs,
right.
so it's worse. So, like, my generation compared to my kids' generation, like, a lot of us have broken the cycle and taken our kids out of that, but the majority is still stuck there. But now it's drugs. It's not alcohol anymore. Now it's really bad drugs. It's like my reserve, there's a lot of it out there. And it's not like they don't try help them. It's not like there's no help. It's it's almost like the person themselves has to pull themselves out of it. Like they've got to want to quit.
Right.
Person what I've learned about trauma is our addiction is that it's related to trauma and it's related to unhealed traumas. So if you're an addict and you want to quit and you can't see, don't know why, then maybe think about healing with your past,
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, I'm sorry for the people I hurt. I forgive the people who hurt me." And moving on with your life because that trauma keeps you there. It keeps you in that struggle, keeps you in that addiction,
Right.
keeps you in that mindset. So, like, I've lived through it. So it's like, you can do it. Anybody
Mm.
can, you know?
To forgive yourself.
You got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive others. Most of all, you got to forgive the people that hurt you. If you don't do that, then it's just no, you know,
It's
it's,
hard because when I see addictions, it's like they feel like they don't deserve better. It's like
hmm
they deserve to be there,
hmm
which isn't true,
no,
you know? So it's hard to change your situation when you don't feel like you deserve a
yeah,
better situation.
you don't feel it. Yeah, yeah, it was for me. It was, I just, I just wanted better for, for me. I wanted better for my wife. I wanted
Mhm.
better for my kids. I thought about how I grew up and I didn't want my kids to grow up like that.
Mm,
So the main motivator for me to quit was my kids. I
mhm,
wanted them to be healthy. So they thanked me today for not bringing them around alcohol, but then see, I still brought them that trauma, you know.
mm,
I still brought them that trauma. So it's kind of hard, but yeah, it's the truth. It's like I have a lot of anger, because of how I was growing up and stuff. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's a real tough one. Trauma follows you. Trauma, it it's like it's almost like something you have to overcome. It's almost something you have to you have to know you're better than that. You have to just know, like, hey, I've had enough of this shit. I'm better than this,
mm,
as opposed to saying, hey, I deserve this. It's all about your mindset. And just like that's really it. It's what do you want in your life? It's like I wanted better. I wanted better. So I knew if I got away from alcohol, it would be better. I was never into drugs or anything. It was always alcohol. It definitely ruled my life. Definitely told me, when I could work. It told me, who my friends were. It told me, how when I was coming home, if I was coming home. So it was like it controlled me in such a way that I didn't understand it at the time. But then once it got its grip off me, and like even yet today, it's 16 years later, it's still like I still think of drinking. I still think like, hey, what if I went got drunk? What if it's like, but then I know where I was, and I know I don't want to be in that position. You know,
mm,
I'm still the same person, but I just don't want to be in that position anymore. Just want better. That's I think it's just the same with being, an addict. It's just, you just got to want better.
mhm,
I've, uh, I've seen people come back from meth addiction, you know, fentanyl. So I've seen them come back from the worst, it's possible. So it's just because those people, the difference between them and the ones that are still doing it is that they dealt with their traumas. They they looked into, what happened to them, who was around them, how they can just move on, I guess. So that's really what I've noticed. It's that. Yeah, it's a tough one. Definitely a tough one. Yeah.
well, I guess, how long do you think we've been talking for?
I don't know.
So we're about an hour and 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
Um But this has been good. This is
Mhm.
like, I feel like you are, like your mindset is very rare,
Thank
you know?
you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the like your ability to just keep going to motivate yourself to find a way is very inspiring.
Thank you.
Um,
Appreciate that.
yeah, I feel like honestly you're probably in the perfect industry, you know, to
Mhm.
be able to share, to be able to share your stories
Mhm.
and give back and tell the truth and
Mhm.
so yeah, I think you should be very proud of yourself for
Thank you.
yeah. Um I don't know before we wrap up here if there's something we haven't touched on that you wanted to share or just like a shout out or anything like that. But
Um,
if there's a speech you bombed that you want to rewrite and
oh, I bombed everyone, man, everyone. I don't think I did one good speech. Oh my god. And I practice it too. I,
yeah.
like, kinda practice it in my mind. I say, "This is what I'm gonna say," and I get there and I just oh man, I just lose it.
Um,
That's funny. Okay, here's one. This is a saying I used to say. Um, Basically, it's because, like, work for yourself, you know? It's like why work for the man when you can become the man?
mm,
It's really that simple. You know what that feels like. You know
definitely.
exactly what that's like.
Yeah.
Why work for the man when you could be the man? And that's
Yeah.
how I used to tell all my cousins and stuff, and they'd be bitching about their job. Tell them, go buy a truck, go do dump hauls.
Mm,
You'll be a lot happier than what you're doing now, you know? You'll be a hell of a lot happier working for yourself, picking garbage than you would doing your dream job under somebody you hate, you know, under somebody who despises you, you know? Go work for making your own money. It's a good feeling.
mhm.
It's a good feeling to be able to say, "Hey, you know, I support myself." And, you know, there's like all my film festivals I've went to, all this traveling I've done, like as far as community support, I get that. Definitely I'll put in, you know, like I'll put in like a thing for like you know, like a fundraiser and people will get in. But other than that, I do not get any help. Like I don't get any outside help. I don't people say, "Oh, his mom's a counselor. He gets to travel everywhere." You know, but it's like, no, I travel everywhere because I spend it out of my own money. I create my own opportunities and I go out and I, you know, I fulfill those whatever, you know, like I just got back from New Mexico. I went to New Mexico. We went and shot a mic drop for Sten Jody. We went did his show as well out there. So it was really cool. It was really fun. You know, we got to meet Dogface. You know, it
Mm,
was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So I went out there, and then I took off to Vegas, and then I met some friends up there. So we shot some stuff there. It was just, you know, that's for me. That's like that's just living the dream. You know,
the freedom, right?
loving my life and I'm doing what I want to do on my
Yeah.
own money, you know, and I don't got to depend on nobody else, you know, just me and my wife, of course.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it. Yeah.
That's awesome. I couldn't agree more. You
Hmm.
know, being able to like kind of like take your life into your own hands. You know,
Hmm.
it's freeing.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
empowering. And once you get a taste of it, you become unemployable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I got offered $50 an hour. And I told my dad that, and my dad, he's like a journeyman carpenter. And I told him, yeah, this guy in the city wanted me. He wanted me to go work for him. He's, you know, give me $50 an hour. And he's like, geez, there's guys that don't even make money like that. You turn that down. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey man, I was making 80 an hour through my company. So
Right.
I was making way more. Why go to 50? when I was making 80, right?
Yeah,
And then, yeah,
I really like what you said earlier. Never try and never try and impress the wrong people.
yeah, yeah.
That is like very well said.
Hmm.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've
Um,
did it for far too long.
right.
And then impress your own people. Impress the
Yes.
people that deserve it.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Impress your
Mhm.
kids. Impress your
Mhm.
family. Your
Mhm.
spouse.
Mhm.
Your friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Then trying to impress somebody who doesn't even like you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Somebody who
Doesn't
just,
it's never
yeah.
gonna be good enough anyways.
Somebody, yeah,
They're
yeah.
gonna
They're
talk
gonna
shit behind your back
they're gonna say
anyways.
something about
Right.
it anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it was awesome to meet you, man.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed this.
This
Um,
was all
and
anytime, man. If you ever want me back, I'll come
heck
back
yeah.
and we'll do it again.
Perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
All right.